Alright guys, I'm going to be showing you how to edit better without CapCut Pro. You don't need a subscription to edit good. You don't need anything. You just need these tips. Alright, for the first thing, you're going to need some good clips. And for these clips, you're probably going to want to use cinematic highlights because you don't want to use any clips that include scoreboards, especially if you're only making player edits. You want to use cinematic clips. Once you have your clips, you're going to go on to CapCut and you're just going to put it in. You're going to resize and readjust to your liking. As you can see, I'm doing it here. Next thing you're going to want to do is get your music for your edit. Sometimes I like to just scroll on TikTok and see if I can find anything. If I can't, then I just search up edit beats, as you'll see me do here, and I found one pretty quickly. Sometimes I have to go into the sound and save a video from TikTok. And finally, once you have everything, you can finally start to edit. I'm going to speed this up because this one took about 15 minutes, nothing crazy, and it definitely was not one of my best edits. But while I'm doing that, here's what I'm going to tell you. For your music, you're going to want to make beats. What this is going to allow you to do is it's going to make you know when you have to cut or, make a new edit point. It just helps to make sure that your edits are on beat if you're trying to make like one that cuts. Now I'm going to recommend some filters that you can use that you don't need CapCut Pro for in the settings for. The first one I'm going to recommend is Black Flash 2. You don't really want to add too much intensity, otherwise it takes over the edit, but you also don't want it to be, very, very subtle. You want it to have a little bit of a flash to it. The next one is the blur effect, and it's pretty much the same thing as the Black Flash. And that you don't want it to be too heavy because then it'll just blur out the entire edit, but you also don't want it to be too subtle where there's literally no blur to it. The third effect I'm going to recommend is Edge Glow. It adds a little bit of a glow to an edge, and not even edge, sometimes it just adds a glow sometimes. Again, this is pretty much the same thing as every effect I'm going to recommend. Not too heavy, but also not too subtle. The last effect I'm going to recommend is Nostalgic Light, and here's what you want to do with it. You want to put the filter pretty much down to 20 and then put the other two up to 60. What this is going to do is it's going to give you a little bit of a filter to it, but then it's going to give it a little bit of texture. It'll just make your edit look better, especially with the effects that I just recommended. Now I'm going to recommend some filters for your video. And you're going to say, well, isn't effects all you need for a video? And that is a heavy no. You also want some filters to make it stand out rather than just be the normal color. So I got two filters, and the first one is Humble. This one is for darker edits, if you're doing an edit like me. And then I have one for clear edits, but Humble's just going to make it a little darker. You don't want to add too much darkness, otherwise it will just ruin it. The next effect is for more colorful edits, and it's Clear 2. This will sharpen up your colors a little bit and make it more bright. It is pretty good, don't add too much sharpness. Next, I'm going to show you how I made this cool transition, and you're just going to follow these steps. Alright, so first you're going to go into overlays. Once you're in overlays, you're going to go to library and find the white video. Next, you are going to go to splice, and then you are going to choose overlay. Turn this all the way up to 100. Now, you're going to want to make this transition for about either 5 milliseconds, 0.5, or to 1 second. Should turn out like this. As you can see, it's nothing too crazy, but it will make your edit look a little bit better. Finally, we're going to discuss watermarks. Basically, all you're going to want to do is go into text, find a font you like, find a luminance you like, go into glow, select the one that is not a pro one, and then finally just find a loop filter you like, or basically any animation you like. Remember to set the opacity down to like either 40 or 30. The last thing I want to talk about are transitions, and I only recommend usually one, and it is the mix transition. You're just going to set it to about either 3 milliseconds to 5. Alright, and now if you followed all the steps, you should have an edit that looks somewhat or even better than this. Anyways, that will conclude the tutorial. I'm sure you can find more effects that you like, but remember, don't add anything too heavy and don't make anything too subtle, and you should have good edits.